Hey, assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope you're doing well. So, the week before Ramadan, I had a client shoot of cookies, and I'm gonna walk you through how I shot it. So, here's my setup. I'm lighting the scene with a Godox V1 speedlight flash, and it is shooting through a sheet of Roscoe diffusion that I have hung here on a C-stand. I don't really use softboxes for, I don't use softboxes for modifiers as a modifier. I use 5-in-1 reflector diffusers and diffusion sheets. I shoot with a Canon EOS R, and here I'm using a Canon 100mm macro for this particular image that I'm shooting. This is the other side of the same setup. As you can see, the Roscoe diffusion is right here. The light will come through there. And my camera is actually wedged between the diffusion sheet and my C-stand. So as you can see from the image, or maybe not, the packaging that I was photographing has a plastic sheet on the front, like a plastic window. And it was reflecting all of the light and the curtain behind me, behind my camera. So for that reason, I put this black foam negative fill card to eliminate those reflections, and it totally worked. And I have that hung on my C-stand, barely like hanging on for dear life with a clamp. So that's it for this image. Let's move on to the next image. This was a flat lay image, so I switched to my 35mm lens, still using the Roscoe diffusion sheet on the left. The light is coming through, and for the flat lay, I needed some fill light. So instead of using my usual like white foam card, I opted for a white paper bag. When you're wedged between a corner, you work with whatever is around you. So if you'll notice, I actually moved the black negative fill card. I took it off the C-stand and I propped it up, kind of blocking the light a little, a lot. And that is, again, to block out reflections. In this case, however, I was trying to block the reflection of my hand and the camera in the window of the box. So what the black fill card is doing in this case is blocking light or stopping it from actually hitting and exposing my hand and the camera, and thus there's no light to be reflected into the window of the box. Does that make sense? So here's a side-by-side. These are straight out of camera, so forgive the lack of editing. Before I put the black card to block out the reflection, and after I put it up. Some of my shoots I can definitely do on the fly, but others require planning. And that planning can refer to many things. Sometimes it is my lighting setup, perhaps images that usually require more than one light, but I try to make it happen with one light. And especially for my video projects, I always storyboard for client video projects. It just helps things go so much smoother during the shoot. I don't have to worry about where to move my camera, what lens to use. I don't forget the story that I'm trying to play out. So for that reason, I plan out and sketch out my plan. So here I'm planning out another client shoot. I'm actually planning for 2 video projects here for the same client. I'll show you a brief clip of one of them here. And the other project you might have already seen here on my YouTube channel or on my Instagram if you're following me there. It was an Instagram reel or a YouTube short, and it was a product video showcasing my client's new product, which is halal marshmallows. I'll just show you a brief clip of the behind the scenes for that here. Again, shooting on my EOS R, this time using my 35mm macro RF lens, and I've got 2 photography surfaces set up here. Most of the video is shot straight on, So I needed the surface that's standing upright as the background. The surface that I laid out on the bottom is actually quite warm toned cream. And so when shooting straight on, especially for like the feature product shot, I noticed a yellow cast on the bottom of the product bag. So for that reason, I stuck my white fill card in there to eliminate the yellow cast that was being reflected onto the product. On the left of my setup, I have a big white foam fill card as well. My light is coming from the right side of my scene. It's the Godox SL60W shooting through a regular, ordinary 5-in-1 diffuser reflector thing. The background surface that is standing upright is held in place by the boom arm of my C-stand. The surface is not actually completely upright. It's like a couple degrees tilted toward the boom arm, and that is just to make sure it doesn't fall backwards. I don't shoot with any fancy schmancy gear. I guess to some people my camera and lenses might be fancy, but generally speaking, I don't have fancy stuff. I just try to learn what I can and use what I have to achieve whatever look I'm going for. The motion shots are handheld. There's no fancy gimbal, a lot of magic in Premiere. The gear that I do have, I have chosen quite deliberately. So in this case, the reason I have a 35mm, particularly for shooting my videos, is because it's also a macro lens, which came in very handy for this video when I physically zoomed way into the Rice Krispies and you saw the texture of them. And overall, the focal length is great for video. Unfortunately, I did not record my editing process for this video in Premiere, but if this behind the scenes BTS content is very useful for you, or if you'd like to see all of my editing workflows and whatnot, please let me know in the comments below so that I can start to document all of these things for you and post them in the future. Once again, please let me know in the comments below what you found most useful in this BTS video and what you'd like to see more of. I hope you're doing well, and I don't know how to sign off from this video. So, goodbye.